A few people come up to me in the break, were talking about various problems, and somebody asked me, where do you start if you've got serious problems in your life? How do I start healing my life? And regardless of the person or persons, and other people ask me this all the time, where do you start healing your life and how do I do it? I've got an answer for that. One word: affirmations. That's where you start. I was telling somebody during lunch, my son, 2 years ago, my son James, he was 17 then, and big lad, 6'3", giant of a frame, and he was really obese. He was like 400 pounds. I mean, he is giant framed, but still big lad, for 17 and a half. And very, heart of a lion, a musician, dreamy eyes, beautiful nature, and just, really sad because of life and, and his weight problem and stuff like that. And I got him inspired over a period of time with using my fatherly powers and to infiltrate his brain and weaken his resistance to life, as we do to help our children. And I got him working with The Secret, the DVD, The Secret. It's beautifully well done, the original version. And now, a lot of effort there because, he'd lived with his mother for most of his life and that, and a lot of negative resistance. He couldn't see how they worked and that. So over a period of several weeks, we're browbeating him and saying every term, what do I do about this? Affirmations, The Secret, And anyway, we finally got him to a point where, okay, he said, I'll try this. I said, right, try manifesting a cup of coffee. He said, I don't like coffee, Dad, It's like, okay, a Coke, manifest a Coke. He says, all right, I'll do that. Then do some affirmations on this. Seeing a Coke, life's going to bring me a Coke. And he come back a couple of days later, he says, Dad, it worked. He says, I went out to town and I was walking down the street and there's a couple of shops there and a friend of mine came out from school who'd working in this cafe. Oh, James, come here, chat, sit down, I'll buy you a coffee. He said, I don't like coffee. He said, oh, have a Coke. The next day, and he said, every time he goes out now, somebody gives him a Coke. It's like they keep coming from all directions, He said, yeah, the blind spot, yeah. But anyway, working from there, and that gave him a little bit of personal experience, a little bit of faith, just a little bit. And we got him listening to The Secret. He used to play it all night long on repeat. Left the TV on at night time and sleep with it running, and he'd leave it playing during the day. Played it hundreds of times, and bits and pieces of it sunk in. And then he came up with a list of the things he wanted to manifest, and he wanted the big things in his life then was, one, he was desperately lonely. He wanted a girlfriend, and he wanted to lose some weight. He wanted to get a job, and the job that he liked, and a couple of other things he wanted, and we got him working on that, with affirmations and that. And I was speaking. This was probably going back 2 years ago. And I was speaking to James a few months ago, and it came up. And I said, James, and I'm looking at my son here now. He's lost like 100 pounds, and he's looking. He's still a big lad, but he's looking pretty good. He goes in, and like a big fullback in a gridiron game, And you would love to get my sons into a football team, mate. Yeah, I raised my boys as warriors, but with hearts. One's a musician, the other one's an artist, and that, but they're fierce. And anyway, I said, James, remember going back a year or so ago, we were working with The Secret in that year. I said, well, how much of what you were asking for did you actually get in life? And he thought about it like that, and he said, everything. Everything he'd asked for had come to him. Everything. And he's got a nice girlfriend, and he's lost a lot of weight. He's got a good job in security. He loves his job, and big security, night shift, guitar, You know, he plays guitar all night and gets paid for it. Watching the monitors, you know, yeah, it's him. And anyway, so, yeah, it's hard to get some people moved, to get them away from that, like inertia, that stuckness in life, because sometimes our problems can bury us and we feel stuck and powerless to throw them off and overcome them because they seem so big. But if you start, I mean, there's 101 different ways you could, you know, get life coaching, see a psychologist, get people to motivate you and this sort of thing. And all of those things, yeah, they would help if they're within your reach. But one thing, affirmations. If you want to make changes in your life, start doing the affirmations and do it like you believe in it, like you mean it. And even if you don't really, really believe in it and it seems a bit silly, still do it. Put the hours in and walk the walk while your beliefs catch up with you, with what you're doing. You know, but just put the time and effort in to make the changes in your life. And and you can do anything, absolutely anything. You know, our beliefs, or I should say our disbeliefs in life, that lock us here in the physical dimension where everything is hard and immovable and has set laws and that this all works against us. I mean, to step into the greater reality, you're walking in the greater reality is a realm of magic and possibilities and change. It's the physical reality is sort of inflexible. It's all worked out on paper, you know, the laws of physics and stuff like that. But there's a lot more to life than that, as most of us know and had some experience with. And I mean, use your experiences that you have had in life, strange, phenomenal, coincidental experiences, magical experiences, because they might only be little things to you, but if you examine them, they're really, really important. You can use those as a basis for your own manifestation power. It gives you something to cling to. And then start manifesting cups of coffee and that and work your way up to it. And then start healing yourself, changing yourself through affirmations. If you get the intention and with the energy into it, into the hands of your higher self, and it's like the higher self doesn't act on anything until it thinks that you actually believe this, if you're trying to get something across. There's a bit of a buffer zone there. So that, as I said earlier, so you can't just have a bad hair day and wish somebody dead and they'll suddenly drop dead on the spot. You'd feel terribly guilty and we'd probably all be dead. We'd kill each other. I mean, you think about it, there's a logical, common sense sort of thing in place here. It's very, very wise. So we have to put some time into it. And I never get sick of talking about this. I'll get you all inspired, hopefully. But I hope you all go away and start working with this. I mean, doing the affirmations and the intentions and that, and using it for self-healing, manifesting things, money in your life, make your life better, anything. Health, money, there's no difference between, and there's nothing unspiritual about wanting money. It's like money makes your life easier and you can do more interesting things and have a better environment. And it's healthy, but you'll find inside of all of us, because we all have a Judeo-Christian type background, consensus belief system in here, where it's sort of believed that it's really good to be poor. It is. I mean, the whole thing is set like that. To be really, really good, you've got to be poor and humble and all these sort of things. But I mean that it's unspiritual to be wealthy, but it's not. I mean, I'm not a wealthy man at all, but it's, you know, I know lots of people who are wealthy, and it's, I mean, some of the most spiritual minds I've come across have been in the upper realms of finance. You know, financiers and bankers and things like that, you know. They understand the secret. You find the people that teach this, and what's his name, not Robin Williams, Tony Robbins. He travels one of the highest, Anthony Robbins, he teaches this. Now his students and that, and I think he was taught by Stuart Wilde, who taught about affirmations and that. But these people up in finance there, I've known a bunch of them, and they have this big list of affirmations that they do every day. That's a part of what they do. Most of them will spend 30 minutes a day, minimum, doing affirmations. They've got this big list of affirmations. And some of these affirmations are on health, some of them focusing on their investments and money and things like that, and different deals they've got going down there. And they're affirming that and really, really working. And they do it because it works, and they know it works. And and they have experts on this will help them craft their affirmations and things like that. And this is in finance. It's because, so down here in the real world, it's the same thing applies, and get some affirmations going. So, right, any questions before we move on to something more interesting? I'll clean the board off.
I wanted to ask again about afterlife. We talked about it before. I just wanted to mention a couple of things that I have read. For instance, the people that pass on and have an angel come to greet them. Michael Wilton's book, the psychiatrist who worked with thousands of people, regression and found life between lives. And according to him, it was very orderly on the other side. And you were always taken care of when you died. I don't really have an issue with it. I don't care, if it's wild jungle out there, but I just wanted to bring these two pieces. Lots of more information, including my mother, father that passed on, friends that passed on, some other family members that I saw, and are still around. It's like, I think, it's like a phone call away. I just think about them and they come. And my father helped me maybe 20 years or more after he died. He kept tabs on me for the next couple of years after he died, but also at bad moments in my life, he would come and help out. But when he died, he did not go to sleep. He was very, very, he would, in my dreams, and also I would feel him around, his energy around. In my dreams, he would come, and he was young, and so I'm just throwing some other stuff out.
What I've learned about the afterlife process is that it is hugely variable. Some people will pass away, some people will die who have processed their life while they've been alive. And they will experience quite a different afterlife to somebody who has stuff left over that they need to process. Now, a person that has processed their life will pass into the spirit world and have quite a different experience to other people. That what I see there, I see mechanisms built into the afterlife process. You call them mechanisms here, whereby people generally go through this process. They're awake for a while, then they sleep and dream and process their life, and after they process their life, they come back, and then they are like healed and grown. And then from that point there, they seem to go on to higher spiritual realms. Now, I've visited some of those realms on occasions. Now, when there's an area, and I describe some experiences in my first book, Astrodynamics. One of these areas, it's like, I think other mystics have described this as well. I put into words. It's very semi-biblical. There is a large area, well lit, and there are angels in the background with trumpets and wings and that. I think there's still a bit of belief system territory here, and a lot of people there. And the people that I saw, I knew a lot of them, and a lot of the people I didn't know, they may be relatives or something I'm not aware of. And there was this brilliant light in the distance. But I mean, this looked and felt like a staging area. And there may be something whereby in various ways we process our lives and through various belief system realms and that until we are balanced and we have processed a life and we're all healed on that and that life is over and done with. And then we go to, I think there's some kind of a staging area where we go on, you could say, into the spirit world proper, into the higher levels of heavens, call it what you like. But there is like a barrier there. It's like almost like when they leave that area, they cross the abyss, you could call it, and they go into the upper spiritual reaches. I'm not really sure. I know they go somewhere. I haven't been across that abyss yet. But they do seem to go somewhere, and it seems to be a really happy thing to do. But from beyond that point, I don't really know what happens to people or where they go. One thing I have learned, I mean, our beliefs and our needs and wants and the things that we believe in can shape our experience, our perception of the afterlife and what happens while we're alive. And these things are very, very important to us. And as far as I can see, the afterlife and the spiritual realms shape itself around our individual beliefs. And so whatever you want to happen will tend to happen. If you believe it, it will happen that way. If you believe in the universe is ruled by a gigantic bunny rabbit. This is an analogy I've been working with for some time, the big bunny. And if you believe that and thoroughly, then your afterlife experiences will be shaped by that. You'll have this big bunny deity very, very present there, and these little rabbits, not angels, but little rabbits with wings on running around. And and it will all be shaped that way because we believe it. And source, it's like this great force that moves you around. Take me to Tara, and this big hand moves you. And it's hugely understanding and loving and forgiving. It doesn't care what I believe in. It would just try and work around me. And it'll try and be there for me in the best way it can. It doesn't matter what I believe to it. It'll whatever. It's like if in a way if you have a child that comes up to you, 4 years old and says, "I'm Superman." Wow, posing around, I'm Superman. In that child's mind, they're trying to put themselves to imagine they're really Superman. It's like, you say, "Oh yeah, really good Superman," and it's okay. You don't mind. You know who that child really is, and you know what's really going on here. It's okay for them to believe they're Superman for a day or two. It doesn't matter. You still love them, and you're not going to contradict them. And no, it's not like that. It's that's not real life. This is cold hard reality. Study hard and go to school, and you don't do that. You let them play and you let them imagine, and we try and work with them because this is what love is all about. Now that child will learn soon enough that he's not Superman. It's like and we'll go on, and life will go on as normal, but. Right, what should we do now? My mind's just gone a complete blank. Energy, right, okay. If you've all got my book, which I recommend, and if you can't afford one for some reason, see me, I'll give you one. I've got some copies somewhere. I'm not a very good businessman. I do, I'll give most of my money away. I've got children, they're so poor. I've got 6 of them, so... Yeah, 6, yeah. You have a 6-figure income, you've got 6 children, it goes back to 0. It's like, yeah. I don't, it's like, my publishers keep me poor. There's whip, They send me a check occasionally with these big imploring, tear-stained letters. Please don't cash this check. It'll really hurt our feelings, it's, yeah. I love it. Okay, right, a couple of things, getting back to some more practical energy work again. We'll do some more of that. Some of the, one of the common problems you'll come across with doing energy work, when you're doing a parallel bounce action, like you're bouncing energy up and down both legs, some of you may have already experienced this, or both arms. Now, has anybody experienced this yet, where you would think that you could bounce your awareness up from your feet to your legs nice and neatly and it would stay in line? But sometimes you'll get this happening. Have you anybody found that happening yet? It's coming up one leg. Yeah, a lot, yeah. Now, that shows you, now if this was just in your mind, and they were just imagining this, that would never happen, would it? I mean, you just think, yeah, I'm thinking from my feet to my hips, yeah, you can do that. But it's not. You're dragging it through the actual substance of your physical body, your awareness. And the resistance varies in each leg sometimes. And sometimes your body awareness hands, if you're doing something outside of your body, they go all over the place and do things that they want to do. And you're struggling to try and, you want to imagine and feel you're climbing a rope like this. And you're doing that, and you're going like that, and then one hand's over there, going like this. Come back here, you're like, doing its own thing. It's related to that. And it also relates to that momentum thing you get after you finish bouncing energy up and down your legs. If you stop doing that, let's say stop, you stop doing it, and you find it's still going on. You still feel it moving up and down. It's sort of, your attention wanders back there. But there's a couple of tricks I've learned, ways out of that when you're getting different bounce actions or different speed bounce actions, because it's a bit disconcerting. You're trying to do something evenly and structured, but one's not working, and maybe you have some blockages in that particular leg or something on that particular day, because it's variable. But one thing that does work is if you start with one foot and one hip, the opposite hip here, on the other leg here, and go like this. Okay, just put your legs down and try doing that while we're talking. And just go, start with your left foot and your right hip, and go like this, up and down each leg in opposite directions. And you find that's actually easier to do than it's quite amazing. It's a voyage of discovery. You can also do that on two different sides of your body. Up and down, split yourself down the middle and come up and down each side, right down the middle. That's a new one I've just thought of. Hey, that's quite good. I might have to patent that. Quick, call my lawyer. Yeah. I'm kidding, I don't have one. Yeah. I can't even spell a lawyer. Yeah. I had a lawyer in my class once. Then we identified him. Yeah. I'm kidding, yeah. Yes, sir. That also works on the arms. If you've got problems going up and down the arms, use opposing bounce actions like that. Now, if you do that, sometimes that will clear the blockage and then force yourself to go back to 2 feet again. Put a bit more willpower into it, because willpower will help overcome any problems. You can, okay, it's going like this because you're pulling it up easily. Put a bit of brute mental effort into that and make it obey you, up and down. Don't take no for an answer. Grit your teeth, up and down like you're bench pressing. And you get some, and that will often straighten it out. There's various ways of approaching that. Extra willpower, opposite actions, that will normally solve most problems like that. Yes, sir?
I'm not sure if how much this relates to what you're describing right now, but early on you said that, I think in reference to manifestation, that magic is based on intention and analogy. And I was curious how the analogy thing works in.
Most systems of magic are based upon analogy in the way of you know how a voodoo doll works. Okay, everybody knows how a voodoo doll works. And it's actually very real if you have the belief and intention to support it. Get a lock of someone's hair, wax figurine, you know. And this is based upon an analogy. you have a figurine that represents somebody, and if you were doing magic, you would get a hair sample or a spot of blood of that person and put it in there. Then you would baptize that and do a ritual to baptize and name that the same name as the person. And you know like in Christian magic, Christianity uses a lot of magic without knowing it in their rituals. You know the Eucharist, when they have the bread and the wine, it's like this bread is his body, you know, this doll is that person over there, my enemy, and this wine is his blood. It's an analogy. It works like that. Yeah, that answer your question? Sort of?
How does that affect manifestation when we're trying to manifest something? How does analogy get involved in manifesting?
I'm not really sure. You got me there. Yeah. Give me a moment to think about that one. Yeah. It's not very clear, is it? What I was meaning there, I think I tripped myself up there. Magical systems are based upon the use of analogy. But the underlying principles of magic is energy and intention. And they use analogy to empower that. Like we are using energy tools and visualize tools and constructions that work on the inside. They use different, you know, that's like an analogy of the analogous, you could say, of the energy we're using, because we're imparting intention there. That's the intention we're imparting. Like with the blowtorch, the intention is to burn away diseased tissues, to warm up cold tissues, to remove damaged bone and things like that. But yeah, it's not a very clear distinction, is it? Yeah. I'll have to work on that one. How are you going with the opposing leg bounce? That fix the problem? Yeah, that's pretty good, hey? Yeah. And sorry.
How much success have you had with helping children with depression?
Children, what age?
15 to 21, say.
It depends upon the situation. Every case is different. I can't say I've had a lot of success. I've had some success with that, but depends upon the cause of the problem. It really does. Yeah, it's a big variable when you're working with anybody. Say, what's the cause of it? Chemical.
Imbalance in the body.
Yeah. Well, if there's an imbalance in the body through chemical imbalance, I would say that points a lot to food and environment, and I would recommend someone like that a raw food, organic diet, chemical-free. And you'll find if you put somebody on a diet like that and they actually go on there, over a period of time the body detoxes and the problems disappear. The raw food organic diet will cure just about anything if you get a person to stick to it. It will reverse anything. It's even weight problems and things like that. A raw food organic diet, your weight problems dissolve, and you'll find you're actually you can be taking in a lot more calories than you were eating before. Especially with raw food, you tend to eat a lot, but your body, the weight just melts off you. Yeah. Did you know, interesting enough, that diet drinks can cause weight gain? Do you know? I was talking to someone in the break about that. I saw somebody drinking a can of Diet Coke and it's... Yeah, the body has a way of wrapping toxins in fat and storing them, and it's a big cause of weight problem. If you diet drinks and the chemicals in the diet drinks, the body will, if it can't process all of those things, which if you're drinking a few of them a day, the body will wrap those chemicals in fat molecules and store them in the body. So the more you drink of them, you'll actually put on weight. It's not all about calories. It's I've known a lot of people who've given up diet drinks and lost a lot of weight just by giving them up. I mean, I've got friends who've given up diet drinks and gone on to the full strength ones full of sugar and that, and they've lost weight. Doesn't make sense according to the normal medical paradigm because you're increasing your calorie intake, but you're reducing the toxic load on your body as well. So, yeah, raw food becomes a bit of a passion when you get into it. It's when you see what it does to you, your body and your state of being. It's you feel so much better, and you sort of grow younger and healthier, and instead of the opposite. It's quite amazing. Ever heard of the Green Smoothie Challenge?
Yeah.
That's brilliant. A lot of people have changed their life, and the challenge is, if you won't go into raw food, take the Green Smoothie Challenge, which means once a day, make yourself a blender full of green smoothie, which has got spinach leaves, lots of green vegetables in there, and some fruit. It's about 50% fruit. And you blend that up and drink that. That's all you do, once a day. And keep doing that for a few months and see how you feel. Because you're giving your body the nutrients it wants. The nutrients are not calories. And once your body gets the nutrients it wants, it shuts off the appetite. So you find your appetite drops away. And after a while, your body learns that it's getting all the nutrients from the raw food, and you'll start craving that more than you're craving the food that you habitually eat. So it's quite amazing. A friend of mine in Australia, John Gabriel, which is not to be confused with Gabriel Cousins, who did the... there's a book out. It's a brilliant book, actually. It's called There Is a Cure for Diabetes. Absolutely brilliant book. He's a medical doctor and an Ayurvedic specialist combined. And he gives a lot of very hard data in there. When he proved it, and he's proved it again and again by running camps with diabetics, and 21 days, everyone's off their meds. Usually within a couple of days. The type 2s are normally off their medication within 1 or 2 days. When I went onto raw food, because, say, I come down with diabetes type 2 quite badly about 2 years ago, and you're faced with all these medications and that. And then I went onto raw food following my inner guidance, and I was off my medication in 2 days. And my blood sugar is solid now, very stable, very low. I can eat chocolate again, doesn't affect me. It's, no blood sugar's nice and stable. But yeah, he gets 100% success with type 2 and about 65% with type 1. But if the type 1s persevere with the diet beyond the 21 days, he said it could take several months. Almost all of them come off their medication in the end, because as the body heals itself, it's quite amazing. It can transform your life. But the Green Smoothie Challenge is, worth doing. It'll really change your life. Yeah, John Gabriel is he's an American, lives in Australia at the moment. He wrote a book on weight loss, and he used to be like 550 pounds. And this is what he did. He went on to his way of doing it is different. It doesn't involve giving up anything. All he asks you to do is play this CD of affirmations every night and listen to it during the day quietly. And before you eat anything, he says, like breakfast time, have a bowl of fruit and then eat whatever you like. Lunchtime, have a big green salad and then eat whatever you like. Eat pizza. Dinner time, have a big deep dish green salad. Eat that and then eat whatever you like. Eat a whole pizza. But after a while, your body discovers that it's getting the nutrients it needs from the raw food and not from the pizza and that. So you'll find your body's instinct changes over, and you'll start drooling at the sight of spinach and you start getting attracted to it. And the thought of celery is just, makes you go all weak at the knees. And it does, and you start to develop this quite intimate relationship with food. And then you start learning how to take your stomach shopping. And your stomach wants quite different things to what you would pick out for your social training and programming. Your stomach, what do you want today? I want strawberries, and I want more strawberries, and I want more strawberries, and a stick of celery. It's quite exact. I mean, if you look at how specific a woman's appetite and cravings gets when she's pregnant, the typical thing, 3 o'clock in the morning, nudge, nudge, I want strawberries now. It's like, that happens. And it could be something, I remember my mother said when she was pregnant with her first one, she was attracted to coal. She chewed pieces of coal and raw liver. She had this obsessive craving, and she said it was disgusting, but she was drooling, and she would slice up raw liver and just eat it. And really bloody raw liver. But she had this iron deficiency or something like that. But she said it was just disgusting, but she was just really attracted to it. But your body will attract you to what it needs to heal itself. And if you look at it, a garden is like a pharmacy. It's like, okay, if you get raw beetroot, raw beets, if you eat it raw or juice it up, don't cook it. Don't peel it. It's just wash it. You will find that the juice in a raw beet will dissolve bladder and kidney stones and things like that. There's a vegetable which has properties which will do anything for your body, for cleansing this, for healing that. And and you go shopping for your stomach and it will tell you when you tune into it, okay, stomach, what do you feel like eating? No, not pizza. No, I don't believe you. But it does. It's quite amazing what you're attracted to and how good it tastes and how well you start feeling. And gorging, by the way, is quite a natural thing. And if your body wants you to gorge on celery, just go with that, or strawberries or whatever it is. But yeah, back to the pregnant women again. Scientists have done a lot of studies on that and seen that the things which women tend to be attracted to when they're pregnant contain things in them which will like stop miscarrying, will stop this problem and that problem. And so the body is amazingly specific if you're tuned into it, into what it actually wants to eat and why, what it will do to your body. So, yeah, it's quite a... and this John Gabriel, he went from 550 pounds or something ridiculous. And the guy was enormous. And he, without dieting, just this change in his diet there, over a couple of years, he went down to 170 pound, perfect weight. And he's got no stretch marks at all. He had no treatment. They all disappeared by following this diet. And he's not a raw food person either. He just has all these big salads and then he might have a piece of steak or something like that. But he's getting most of his nutrients through the raw green foods. And it's transformed his life. And it's quite amazing. Most of the food pyramids that we work with today are pretty not defective. I think somewhere I read that made sense. The last real food pyramid we had here in the Western world was probably in the 50s, which was actually carefully thought out. Since then, it's been grossly affected by different lobby groups and that on the size of the different things and that it becomes a political, corporate sort of a tool. So, yeah.
How's it in Australia?
Sorry?
How's it in Australia?
Same as here. Yeah, pretty much the same, yeah. So, yeah, we're brothers in calories over there. So, and for the same reasons, the Western diet is not a very healthy diet. Anyway, back to energy work. Where were we?
Question.
Oh, sorry.
What is the green smoothie exactly? And where's the recipe for it?
A green smoothie. You can get in touch with this online. I'll give you the address up here. That's the address. That's a good start. Go there and read that. Have a look through it. Sign up for the newsletters and that. They'll send you all kinds of recipes and that. There's a lot of information online. The raw food movement is booming throughout the world. There's a lot of opposition to the use of herbal extracts and things and vitamins and supplements and that. And a lot of pressure on put us away, like in Canada, they got Bill C-51, which is being argued still for a year in the Senate. It's if that was passed, they would basically shut down all health food shops. All naturopaths would be out of work. I would be breaking the law by talking about what I've talked to you already, because disseminating information about substances, including food, used for a therapeutic healthful basis is illegal unless it's approved by the AMA and the pharmaceutical companies. It's the nuclear weapon against the health movement. But in response to this, I mean, I've some naturopaths over there, health food shops and that I go to over there. The lady was telling me there, she says they're quite blatant about it now. They come in and half of the stuff that she had on her shelves, she had to take off of the shelves, or they threatened to close her down, because anything which is a treatment which is in direct opposition to a drug, if it's in opposition to the drug, you've got to take it off the shelf. You're not allowed to sell it. Because so all the good stuff is kept under the counter now. It's getting quite bad. But the one thing they can't stop is they can't stop people eating vegetables. And if you eat it raw, because you cook it, you destroy most of the nutrients and things in a plant. If you eat it raw, you look at your garden and you're going back to nature's original pharmacy. For every condition there is a plant out there somewhere which will help it. It's and a lot of the stuff you'll find in health food shops and that is more effective than the drugs that a doctor would use to treat the same condition. It's actually more effective, so with less side effects. This is another aspect of transforming your life, is your diet and your health as well, as working with affirmations. We all want to be healthy and fit and live a long life, but you look around you and you see people who get to 40 and they start looking old, and it's like by the time they're 50, it's like they're like an old person, and it's like, and you're only 50 years old, young. It's like, and people by the time they get to 60, it's like they're ready to cark it. It's like they're old age at the age of 60 when you're in your prime. That's not natural. It's like this build-up of toxins and stuff in the body and, lack of good nutrients and that. But anything, if you're still alive now, you can reverse it by eating raw food. Or start with the raw smoothie challenge. A raw smoothie is 50% raw vegetables, green leaves usually, the dark, put in salad leaves, lettuce, spinach leaves, there's recipes for that. And then you put in apples and pears and pineapple, whatever you've got handy, there's recipes for it, and put some good greens powder in and stuff like that, and just hit the blender, blend it up, and then drink it. That's it. That's all you have to do. You just do that once a day. One blender full, which is about a quart or more. Drink the whole thing. It's not that hard.
What's the greens powder?
You can get powdered greens, which is it's like concentrated lettuce. They make it from algae and things like that, but it's all of the stuff, the good stuff you'll find that your body really, really needs are in the dark leafed plants. Dark green leaves or dark purple and that contain the maximum amounts of chlorophyll and things like that, which the body desperately needs, particularly in the Western world, where we have a lot of deficiency, iodine deficiencies and things like that. I know recently they've changed the laws in the Western world, Australia too, to iodise the salt, put iodine in the salt, because we have such an iodine deficiency. And that's like a kind of a stuffed up way of addressing it rather than educating the public, and a good test for this, get some iodine, plain old-fashioned permanganate of iodine, and paint some on the inside of your wrist, a square, a couple of inches square there, and see how long, the brown stain of iodine, see how long that takes to dissolve. It should, if you don't have an iodine deficiency, it should take 3 to 4 days. But most people in the Western world, that will disappear within a few hours because your body says, yum, iodine, sucks it into itself. Yeah, it does. Yeah, iodine. And you get that, because of the poor nutrient diet we live. Look, the diet we live on today here is similar to what your parents lived on, your parents' parents. But when your parents were alive and your grandparents were alive, the food that we farmed then had a lot more nutrients in it. There's been a steady decline over the last 100 years of the nutrients in our farmed food through overcropping. And Gabriel Cousens explains it beautiful in his book, There Is a Cure for Diabetes, which is not just about diabetes, it's about food. And this was recognised about 1915 by people like Rudolf Steiner. And they came up with some very clever solutions, very cheap solutions. And what it is with overcropping, apparently, when you farm a field for more than 12 years, the same field, no matter what you're putting back on it in the way of fertilisers, you deplete the soil of angstrom-sized particles. That's very, very, very small particles of soil, which are and these are the particles of soil that the plant actually takes up into itself. And this is your major source of minerals in your body. Now, over a period of time, the soil gets depleted, and let's say we've been farming the same land for 100 years. This stuff is almost gone. And so we are eating nutrient, mineral deficient plants, and our animals are as well, and our bodies are suffering. So, and when you cook the food as well, you destroy most of the nutrients in it. So there's hit over the years, at some point, we hit a critical point where the food being eaten, cooked in the traditional sort of a diet, all of a sudden stopped being good for you, and your body's not getting enough out of it. And what your body does when it's not getting enough nutrients is it will increase your appetite and try and get you to eat more of it. So malnutrition is actually a cause of obesity and weight gain, because your body's not getting the nutrients it wants. It will make you try and eat more. And if your diet consists of pizza and hamburgers and stuff like that, and that's what you mostly eat, then your body will try to get the nutrients it wants out of hamburgers and pizza. So it's going to make you try and eat a lot, which is going to, of course, make you, put on weight. So, yeah, the body's very, very clever. And but we override a lot of what the body wants by our social programming. We were taught to eat by our parents and their parents, and we're just doing what we've always done. It becomes a habit. But unfortunately, because of the nutrient drop in the food content there, what our parents ate isn't good for us anymore. There's not enough nutrients in there to keep us healthy. And then you get this massive rise in all these modern diseases, which basically most of them, if not all of them, disappear if you go onto a really healthy diet. So it's a really big thing. And that's why the raw food movement is sweeping the world. It's booming now because people are starting to realise, hey, doctor, you didn't tell me there was a cure for diabetes. Yeah, but they don't have a cure that involves drugs. I mean, some doctors will tell you, oh, that will go away if you eat lots of fresh fruit and vegetables and exercise and lose weight and stuff like that, which, of course, most people struggle to do. But people aren't given the real information that they need. I mean, if you go onto a raw food diet, you'll be off your medication in 2 days if you're type 2 diabetic, because all of the raw food you're eating is extremely low GI, and over a period of time you'll find your body will heal itself, your pancreas will start working normally again, and your blood sugar will stabilise. We're not given the right picture here, so yeah, raw food will heal just about anything. And that's why it's so popular, because people are very unhappy with doctors and, living on drugs and things like that. And we like to heal ourselves and, naturally. And it's a good thing. Sorry. Oh, right. I thought I'd done something for a minute.
Ask, can we do some advanced energy exercises?
What do you mean advanced?
We've been doing the exercises. Can we just do more of them?
Yeah, we're going to in a minute, yeah. We're just about to get to that. What happened there? Whoa. Oh. Was it good for you? It was good for me. Wow. Yeah, I'm not used to doing very short workshops like this. I usually do them at least a few days apart, and I pace the energy. You remember the first session we did the energy work? some of you got some adverse effects, felt a bit nauseous and that. I'm very, very conscious of pacing the group at a certain level. And the first day, I generally take it fairly easy. Of course, we've only got 1 day and a bit here, so yeah, we'll get into some more. But the what you would call the term advanced energy work, it takes a few days practice before we can get up to that. Otherwise, it's too difficult to do if you haven't had the practice of building up to that. And I'm not very comfortable in talking you through the more advanced stuff because I know it can have adverse results if you don't build up to it the right way. It's a duty of care thing. Yeah, I don't want to cause too many psychotic outbreaks in 1 day. It's I'm enough to live with you. Yeah, so anyway, make yourself comfortable. We'll do some more energy work. That's a good idea. What time did we finish at? 5? 5. Oh, good. That's great. Right, just relax and focus on your stomach, belly breathing. Feel your stomach rising and falling. This is the quickest and easiest form of meditation you'll ever get, and one of the most effective. Just feel your stomach breathing, rising and falling. Just do nothing else. And in a very short time, you'll fall into an altered state of consciousness. Right, just focus on your hands for a minute. Fingertips to wrists, just like we did before. You should be able to tune into them nicely now. Fingertips to wrists. Fingertips to wrists. This is all we're going to do. And then we're going to do something completely different. Feel it moving through the whole of your hands. Fingertips to wrists. You feel them charging up. Tingly, buzzy sensation. Just vary the speed a bit in your hands. For a few seconds, try doing it very, very fast, fingertips to wrist. And then slow down and do it nice and slowly. And then try it fast again. And then back to normal speed. Vary the speed and observe the differences in sensations you feel in your hands. Okay, we're going to do something different now. I want you to lift your hands up. You'll have to look at me for this. Lift your hands up so they're facing each other like this. And I want you to imagine, okay, bring your hands in. Imagine there's a ball of energy like a tennis ball hanging in space, a blue ball of energy between your hands. And bring your hands in and close them around it like that. And you've got this spinning blue ball of energy there. Just imagine that. But feel it spinning. Hold your awareness in your hands. That's it. You can hold them like that. You can move it around like you're shaping a snowball. Feel the energy and imagine it spinning. Just imagine it. But keep your focus in your hands, because your hands is making it spin. Now imagine that that ball keeps spinning and stays exactly where it is as you move your hands out wide, leaving the ball of energy sitting there hanging in space. Hold your hands like this. You've got a ball of energy sitting here between your hands. And I want you to imagine and feel this ball of energy starts bouncing off each hand. Bouncing from left hand to right hand. Bouncing off each hand. That's it. Move it like that, your hands a little bit. Keep your awareness focused in your hands, but imagine the energy ball bouncing off your left hand, right, side to side. And what you're doing here is you're actually moving a part of your body awareness outside of your physical body, going from hand to hand, because it can exist and work outside of your body. Keep bouncing it. When you get used to this, you can actually move a ball of energy from you and move it out to another person and tickle their foot with it. Mm-hmm. And they'll feel it. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Your body is not... Your energy body is not confined to your physical body. Well, it's only confined if you think it is. Right, now imagine that ball of energy stays still here. Catch it. Bring your hands in like this and lick your fingers and imagine that energy ball is in your hands. And hold your hands out a bit in front of you like you're hugging a little tree. That ball of energy is still in your fingers. And I want you to feel that moving up your right arm, through your chest and heart, and down your left arm and back to your hands. And around and around. Up the right arm, through the substance of your chest and heart, and feel it moving through your body. You can have your eyes open or closed, it doesn't matter, as long as you feel this moving through your body. Take 2 or 3 seconds for each circuit. Don't move it too slowly. It's more difficult to move if you do it really slow. So experiment with the speed to find out what works the best for you, which means what feels the best for you. And relax. Now keep your awareness in your hands as if you were trying to detect minute changes of air temperature and air movement in them. And hold that awareness in your hands while we do the following. And what we're going to do now for the last half hour is to get up and do some hand sensing. And what I'm going to get you to do is to stand up and pair up with somebody. Okay? Find somebody, and what we're going to do is volunteer. Thank you. Okay, what we're going to do is this. We're going to pair you up. And now, keep your awareness in your hands, because you'll find they're charged up now, very, very sensitive. Now, this is more than just a nerve thing. The energy centers in your hand are very charged up. Now, what we're going to do is this. Stand several feet apart. Put your hands up facing me. And I want you to walk in and out very slowly, sensing with your hands. And come in and out. And you feel a reactionary field. It's like there's a faint mist of pressure. And there's like a little tingly sensation you'll get when you come in and out. You'll feel various sensations as you feel the energy field of the other person. You feel that difference as you're coming in?
Oh, yeah.
It's like little waves of pressure and little tingles. And when you get close like that, you'll feel a prickling in your fingertips when you come in close to somebody. We're going to do this first and keep doing this until you feel it, and just play around with it, sort of moving it. You can move in and out with your hands. And you feel that?
Oh, yeah.
There's a really quite noticeable pressure there.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing we're going to do, put your hands down, take turns at this. We're going to go up to the other person and put your hands really, really wide and move your hands in and out, almost touching, and around the person's energy field here. Come in from the top and around the sides and in and out. Keep your eyes open and feel a person's energy body coming in and out. And work your way around it, slide it up and down. Now what you'll feel, apart from the little pressure feeling, it's like there's a pressure in the air and reactions with your hands. If you come across the site of an injury the person has, let's say they've got an injured shoulder or part of the back, as you come over that area, you'll find you'll experience either a cool or you'll find a warm or hot area there that is there again. Let's say you've got this little cold area here and it's cold there. When you move over it, it stays there. You may also feel a null area. Let's say you're feeling a constant sort of pressure feeling here as you're going through there, and you feel nothing there. It goes away. There's no reaction. It's like a hole in the auric field. That's another symptom. And don't try and guess what it is. You might say, I feel something there. Have you had an injury there? This doesn't have to be right. You do?
I just dislocated my shoulder 3 months ago.
Oh, wicked. I'm good. I'm good.
I was like, let me
I
see
love
if he
it.
gets this.
Yes,
If
yeah.
he gets this, all right.
It's
yeah.
interesting how you get led to that. This is a similar way as keep sensing your hands. We'll keep working on that. It just takes a little part of your awareness. I mean, just keep aware of them. If you have injured your shoulder, how many people have come up to you and go, how you going?
I know. It's
Yeah?
like,
And they, ow!
I know. It's like you have to shield it and
Yep.
address, because they want to go for the whole
Yep.
field.
If you get a sunburn on your upper back in an area that big, most people you know walk, oh, it's lovely to see you, Pat, you're right on that spot. You know, or you might have a sore knee or something, you're sitting down and people are coming up, how you going, mate? This is like the law of manifestation. It actually relates to it. It's like if you've got a pain in the area there, your awareness is on that because it hurts. You're thinking about it all the time. That attracts people's attention to that area, and they will subconsciously be drawn to that area without realizing it and touch that area. This is a part of the energy of how the manifestation process works. Like I was saying, when I was dejunking my life, I come across this article on dejunking my life. And coincidences like that happen. This energy spreads out in the metaphor of your life, and it'll, in many, many ways, anything relating to what you're doing will come up. It's like, and injuries are very, very similar. Now, keep your awareness in your hands. Now, pick a partner if you've got a friend. Otherwise, we'll pick one for you quickly. Okay, yeah. So go and find somebody. We'll spread out around the room here. You got me on microphone, so we'll just find a pair. Now, give yourself plenty of room because you'd have to take steps back and in. That's good. You want about 6 feet between you. So spread out in all the empty spaces and do exactly what I did. Come in and out. Hold your attention in your hands, feeling and sensing, just like you're trying to detect minute changes in air temperature and movement. Now come in and out slowly. Step back a couple of paces. That's it. Now come in slowly, moving your hands out and stepping in until you're almost touching, and then go back. And notice the difference. Go back and come in and out like this. Like my hand, that's it. In and out. And just notice the difference in the like pressure sensations. You feel that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you get really close, you might even feel a little prickling in your fingertips or different sensations. It's really quite noticeable once you get your hands. Now, this is quite a powerful tool for diagnosis if you're working as a healer.
Okay, so you have to tell me what did you get from my shoulder?
You what? Your shoulder?
Yes, and now you have to tell me what you got from my shoulder. Was it a past life?
I don't know.
You don't know.
No idea.
No.
I could make up some believable bullshit if you like.
I know, it's okay.
I'm really good at that.
All right, I'll keep my notes.
Okay. Yeah, you can give me some tips.
I can feel it around here. I can't feel it too much further, though.
Good. You're left out, are you? Good. Now focus your awareness in your hands here, right? And come in smoothly, sensing, like you're sensing for changes in air temperature. And you feel that pressure as we come in? There's like a layers of
heat, too.
Yeah, there's heat. If it was real heat, you wouldn't feel it until you're really, really close. But yeah, changes in temperature and texture. It's like a faint pressure. You know, like when you ever felt a magnet? Almost like feeling a magnet. And sometimes you get a little prickling in the fingertips too, as you come in and out. Interesting. What if you could do this before people? Yeah. While they're doing that, why don't you put your hands around her head and try and sense the back of her. All right, you come in and out, but go wide. Go really out wide. Go right out wide and come in slowly, and then move over different parts of the body. Like that. And move up and down and like this. And you feel the shape of the auric field. I'll come back. It's quite amazing how you can feel it, that you can feel the pressure. There's something there like a magnetic field almost there. Yeah. And that's what most healers do when they are like diagnosing. I've worked as a healer for many years, and it's you go over an area at the back and you'll feel a patch there. You say, what's there, you know? He had an injury there, you know, or something. And you can feel it in the auric field. Cool. You like joining in? We have a spare the other side of the room.
I didn't know if there's anyone who.
Yes,
that's
we do
fine.
over here, but it's a spare one. We have an odd person out, so. But
Okay.
you want to?
Sure,
It's fun.
honey, whatever
Cool.
you want me to do. That's what volunteers are here to do. Love to be your partner, though.
Yeah, we can do that as well. Yeah, okay. Come on, we'll try some hand sensing. Have you done any of this yet at all?
Long time ago.
Been working on your hands?
Yes.
Good. Sense with your hands like you're trying to detect minute changes in air temperature and air movement, and move in and out. Move your hands back and in and out, and feel the change. It's like a magnetic sort of electric-y feeling, like putting your hands into an electric field almost, and you get various sensations as you come in and out.
Start to feel hypnotized.
Hypnotized, why?
Just kind of.
Yeah. You
Lifted.
get a bit trancy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not
It's-
Stacy, but
Yeah.
Trans.
Good idea to keep control of that. It's when you not to allow that to happen spontaneously, particularly when you're driving. Yeah. Yeah, I drive in an altered state myself. It's fine, but yeah, come and I've got this lady over here. I have to keep walking around here, checking on people. We've got another spare here. Another victim. Come on. Yep, cool. Fresh meat. No, it's good to change over people and that. It's how you going, big fella?
Good there, friend.
Yeah? Astral massage. It's good.
That's good right there, brother.
Yeah. Is it okay if I put my hand on you?
Yes, please.
Cool.
Bless you. Thank you.
Give some healing.
Thank you, brother.
Like here, you're closer than you are here. So, you know, whether it's like my energy bumping up against your energy and creating more whatever. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, I can feel the heat myself coming in.
This is fun.
Fun.
Yeah. I've been healing for 35 years and boy am I tired. Yeah. I've been healing for 35 years and boy am I tired.
It takes energy.
I'm kidding. I just,
It does. It takes energy.
yeah.
Like force.
Yeah, the weak jokes do, yeah. Yeah. I'm renowned for them, yeah. Anybody can tell a funny joke. It takes guts to tell my sort of joke. Good. Yes, please.
How far out does the astral body go?
You mean when you have an astral projection, or well, yeah, what you're looking at is not. You could call it the astral body if you like, but it's actually just the energy body is probably more descriptive, which contains all of your subtle bodies. But it varies from some people. Imagine it. The average is probably an egg shape about this large here, which extends out probably about as far as your hand would reach around you. It's like an egg shape. That's average. If a person has very poor health, that can shrink in a bit here and close in. If a person has a lot of energy, that can expand out, much further. You can have quite a large field. It varies depending on your level of energy. So, it's always different. But the average is probably probably about 2 feet out of a person here. And there's different layers as well. Some of them probably extend much further. But when you start sensing it, you start to feel it about here on you, about there on you. So, yeah.
So what happens if, I think what I did was I started too close. I invaded her space, but I still was able to experience energy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she didn't run away from me. So
Yeah.
I must not have been
Yeah. Well, but by working together like this, permission is like a given. It's a given. I'll make a note of that. I'll talk about the permission issue in a second as healing. Hi.
Dr. P.M.H. Atwater.
Yep.
She was-
Skip.
She was at the A.R.E. Mid-Atlantic Conference last year. No, the girls were last year.
Skip's
The
a
year
guy.
before. No, this is a lady.
Okay.
She does, she studies
At-
near-death
Atwater.
experience. P.M.H. Atwater. She studies,
Okay, I thought you meant Skip. Yeah.
She studies near-death experience because she had
Okay,
it
yeah.
for herself.
Yep.
So she said, this was at the ARE Mid-Atlantic
Mhm.
2 years ago, she said she had somebody take a 12-foot long cloth, this is in response to that, a 12-foot long piece of cloth. And she was attached to one and the other person went around her. And she said, that's how far you extend. She went all around the room and she said, so if you're ever teaching, you should always have somebody look closer than 12 feet. Because farther than 12 feet, then they're not going to get your energy. That was just a little. Yeah,
Well,
I mean, and who knows? It could be here, it could be 12.
Well, my experience is variable, but there is a definite range. For example, when the astral body comes out, if you have an astral projection, there is a definite reactionary field which is very, very sensitive within 18 feet. You go beyond 18 feet, it starts reducing. Inside of that, it's very, very sensitive. I mean, if you vary your focus in the slightest and even think of your body for a split second, bang, it'll be drawn back into it. But outside of that 18 feet there, that gets less and less sensitive. So there probably is something in that. She's saying, I'd say it would probably relate to a similar thing, that, sensitive field area, which is, 12 feet, 18 feet. Probably something in it.
You know what my dissertation it was on plant energy.
Plant energy?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's what my dissertation was
Yeah.
on, energy. Plants have the intent. All you have to do is put the intent.
Mhm.
They have emotions, feelings.
Mhm.
You ever read that the book, The Secret Life of
Yep.
Plants?
Yeah, that's an old one, yeah. But that actually works if you start putting intention and energy into seeds and that and sprouting them. And you have a control group there. If you look at the difference with seeds that have been loved and had energy put into them, and
Yeah, I
the
did one
control
on that,
group.
The loving,
Yeah. Yeah.
plants, and then with Grad, he did a lot of research back in the 60s, early 60s. Bernard Grad.
Yeah.
He did an awful lot of energy work with plants,
Mm-hmm.
and then he went on to doing it with animals. But so I've done a lot of energy work with plants and animals, and it's just wonderful. Of course, people do.
Yeah, they do. Right, wasn't that fun? If you'd like to come back in and take your places for a minute, we'll talk down. I'm going to bring up another issue before we close. No. Frank's taking a tea break. Mm-hmm. You'll have come across from time to time mention of the permission issue when it comes to healing. Permission issues here. About getting permission to give healing to somebody, to invade their space and things like that. And I've come to almost blows with certain people over this issue. For example, a lot of people today believe that permission is a very, very hard and fast rule, that you must get permission before you can give healing to somebody or invade their space in some way. So let's say stick with healing here. Now, that is absolute bollocks, in my opinion. That's a technical term, by the way. Yeah, it's an Australian technical term from the Institute of Heart and Ops. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you the reasoning for this. Now, if you follow this down, and some people, would be going livid, with me here, and they say, oh, it's like closing the chakras. If you don't, really bad things will happen and, baby ducks will die and all kinds of things. And you'll get all these hearsay examples of stuff like that. And it's all bollocks. And I'll tell you why. if you were giving healing to a person, now of course, if they're there, it's like just polite, good manners to ask a person if they would like you to give them healing. And they can say yes or no, or and that's fine. I mean, you wouldn't waste your energy if they didn't want healing. It's a waste of time and energy. And you wouldn't, be rude if a person doesn't want it. Their beliefs, it's to honour them. But if you had a friend who was suddenly collapsed and was in a coma and put in hospital, and somebody called you up and said, your friend's in hospital, they've collapsed and that, would you hold back sending them healing and prayers until you could speak to them and get their permission? I mean, you could say, oh yeah, but, it's a karmic thing and that, and you're breaking the laws of this. What laws? It's bollocks. I mean, you know your friend would want you to give them healing and stuff like that. And people say, oh yeah, but you're interfering with the rules, and that person may be meant to die, and you're giving them healing could stop them from dying at the appointed time. I'm quoting you people here, and from teachers and authors that I've argued with. And they say, oh, and if you interfere with this, and I had a case, it happened, and they recovered, and they came out, and all these horrible things happened to them because they were meant to die then, and you stopped them. Are you God? Are you God? I mean, yeah, but I mean, in the sense here that you can give life and take it away, it's like, and if you extend someone's life, they're going to be punished because they're meant to have died. This gets a bit silly, people. It's getting silly. Or if you have a baby, I've asked people, okay, how do you give a baby a pre-language age healing? How do you get permission? Do you ask the parents? What if the parents are dead? Do we ask the legal guardians? Is this a legal matter? Is this like a disclaimer you sign? We need to get permission from the baby's legal guardians. What's that got to do with love and spirit? Absolutely nothing. It's like, this gets a bit silly. It's a politeness thing. The general rule that I work by, and I would not give healing to somebody if they didn't want it, is, and the explanation I give to overcome this, which is a bit of a problem today, is when you give healing, if the healing is accepted, if permission is given by default, if the healing is accepted. Now, if a person doesn't want healing and you're giving healing to them, it's not going to be accepted. Now, if the person gets better and improves because of your healing, even though they don't want it, it might be someone you love and you're going to send it anyway, then the healing has still been accepted. Even though up here they might say, no, that's against my beliefs and that, I'm a born-again Buddhist or whatever. But you give it to them anyway and they get better. Healing's been accepted on a more spiritual level, not the mind here. It's like, some people believe that, it's illegal to have blood transfusions and things like that. And they'll deny that and they will die and even let their own children die because they don't believe in it, of this up here. And there's, and the whole thing, I think, gets a little bit silly. So, but permission, the bottom line is, if it works, it's been accepted. And let's face it, healing is an intention and energy of love that you are trying to express. It's a very spiritual thing. It is like praying for somebody. It's just got a little bit, well, if you're using my techniques, you're pumping a bit of energy. But it is still very much related to, in the same class as prayers and good intentions and things like that. And I think the permission issue is just rubbish. It's silly. Yeah.
Do you think that's taken ownership and that's relatively egotistical? And I do a lot of healing work, and it's not me that does it.
Yeah.
You create space, you have a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that's a good point. It is becoming egoic because you are taking ownership, control. You're building yourself up into something that you're not.
So then you have to ask somebody permission. I'm sorry, I don't believe in that.
Yeah, but a lot of people will stand up and spit chips at you and stuff, get all bent out of shape because this author said that and that person said that, and all this hearsay stuff they'll come up with. It's all rubbish, and it's not real. Okay. I mean, you have to stand there and listen to people like that sometime or answer their emails and that, and it's like, and they get quite rabid. And when you push this with a little bit of logic and reason, they get all bent out of shape, and it is shown for the egoic thing It is, because they start getting angry because you're not agreeing with them, and it becomes a matter of their chosen beliefs, and there's not actual reality here. Yes? Wait for the microphone. Last question, and then we're going to take a break.
When I was attuned to be able to channel healing, I was taught that you do not send healing without people's permission.
Yeah.
That was a blanket
Yeah.
statement.
A blanket statement. Now, if you actually examine the statement, and this is a part of your own spiritual development, everything must be examined. All of your beliefs, things you've learned since you were a little girl, everything needs to be examined. Now, the people who made that blanket statement, they're going back generations maybe, had never really thought about it. It seems logical. Maybe there's some channeled information that agreed with this and that, and they formed these beliefs, which become this blanket explanation. But if you examine it, this has holes in it, that you must get permission and this sort of thing before you can do it. There are serious flaws in that as a blanket thing, particularly when it comes down to babies and children, animals. How do we get permission to healing an animal? I mean, do you ask the animal? I just do it. Or the person, as I say, or a baby, or something, or that homeless person sitting on the street over there, you say a prayer and give them a blessing as you walk by. I mean, that some of these things that we build these beliefs and that around, they seem logical and it all fits our paradigm and that, but when you actually put it into practice, it's not practical and it's not real. And we always have to watch for that, because if someone gives you a blanket rule like that, then you need to be able to hold that up and hold it up to debate. And just pull it apart, let's examine the flaws, the pros and cons of that, and then look at it and say, well, what do we have here after we pulled it apart? It may seem, yeah, that holds up pretty well, or it doesn't. And there was, there's real and there's not real, and there's bugger all in between, in my opinion. Yes, sir. Last question. Then we really have to go.
Yeah, the question I had was
It's all right. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'll repeat it. Yeah.
Working with friends of mine who are Reiki masters, they always ask permission to the higher, or doing muscle testing. I have friends who do muscle testing, and they always ask permission to the higher. Is that playing into this permission issue that we're talking about here?
That's a neat way of sidestepping it, the whole issue, which is probably why they do it. If you don't want to get into the argument with all the people who are saying you've got to do it and this sort of thing, or you're a heretic or whatever, that covers everything. If you pray for higher permission and that. But then again, you're praying for something, you're asking for permission, you're not going to get a yes or a no, because if you get a feeling comes over you, that feeling is very subjective. And regardless of what you got, if you've got a friend that's sick and needs healing, you're probably going to go and give them healing anyway, or at least say a prayer for them. Right, anybody have to report? Any sleep problems last night? Did you sleep okay last night? Oh, good, yeah. Yeah, because sometimes the energy work can cause intermittent, temporary sleep problems, particularly if you do too much before sleep. We're going to be doing a fair bit more energy work this morning to catch up and some different stuff. I've found that some of the exercises and that I do, I can't really teach them until the third day, because it has too many adverse results. It becomes predictable. If I do this too early in the piece, I'm going to get, 2 or 3 people in the class having problems and that, which, just taking it a little bit slower, you avoid those things. And, so one of the first workshop I did, which is the first big live experiment with the energy work on groups of people in 60 people. This is when I discovered the relationship between core images, the trauma memories we have inside of us, that they actually exist in a physical place in the body. Now, massage therapists and that know this when they work with people. When they work on a particular area of the body, they'll touch something, and all of a sudden the person will have they'll burst into tears and cry and emote because they've touched something in the physical body. But now, according to modern science, of course, memories don't exist in the physical body. But in practice, you find that they do actually live in different parts of the physical body. And calling it a core image is a term for an area of like discord that contains negative emotions and energies inside your body. And the very when I was doing a particular action, which we'll do this morning, it was a slicing action with the group, and what that is basically is using body awareness. And I was starting at the base of the spine here and getting people to imagine like a disc of energy slicing through the whole body this way, and rising up and every time you go through, you raise it a millimeter, and you thoroughly work your way up through the body. And I had halfway through one session, the first session on this, I had 3 people have a complete meltdown. 2 in the room, 1 ran off into the woods. I had to send somebody after her. She was hysterical. And one lady who was wanted to share, the other people didn't want to share. It was personal. She was an advanced bodywork shiatsu therapist in UK, and lovely lady called Portia. Now, she released a core image in the base center and in the heart center, and they were both different. Now, in her, the first one was a heart center here, and it's very, very sad, and she told us this, and I was kudos to her for sharing. And the memory, which was a lost memory, which is completely out of her psyche, and this memory came back. She always makes me cry to tell her this one, is she's 5 years old and she's hanging upside down in a smoking wreck, trying to wake her mother up, who's all covered in blood, and her mother's dead. Now that'll do it to you. And you don't want to keep that memory, and of course it went in, but the energy work triggered that one in the heart area, and it just flooded back, full memories of that, and then all the funeral and everything about that time. And the other one, and the next day we were doing a similar action and experimenting with this in a base center, and she burst out crying, but for a different reason. But these 2 things changed this woman's life. Another memory came back, and she was 11 or 12 years old, and she was an athlete at a private school in England, and she was exercising with her coach, and she fell and hurt herself. And her coach, who she looked up to and respected and admired, one of her teachers there, was massaging her leg, and he molested her. And the 2 things together, she clicked in her mind. And this is a lady of about 40, that she's never been able to have a relationship. She liked the company of men as friends, but she's never been able to have a relationship. It just totally did. And she realized that where it was coming from. And her whole life sort of went click, 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 and sort of realigned inside of her. Very powerful stuff. So this can happen doing any type of body awareness energy work, because like deep tissue massage, with the body awareness, you are actually disturbing the substance of your energy body where these things exist. When you move, when you focus a point of your body awareness on a particular part of your body, that area becomes energetically charged, and the nerves in that area actually electrically charge up, ready to move. But as you are moving your point of awareness and not your body through there, you get this continual charging and discharging occur in the physical nerves of the body. And this is what causes the physical sensations you get, including nausea and things like that you may experience at times from energy work. These are like growing pains you'll get because you disturb certain nerves in the stomach there, and it can cause, all kinds of things to happen inside your body. And so as you're disturbing the nerves, which can cause physical symptoms, beneath the surface of the physical body in the subtle energy templates in your subtle bodies, that bioelectrical activity is like a ripple wave moving through your body with your point of body awareness here. And that, if you touch and core image area with that body awareness here, it's like triggering it in the same way as a massage therapist or an acupuncturist may trigger it by touching a particular point. And you'll find massage therapists that do body work and that are often drawn to these areas, and they're like, without knowing it, they'll seek it out and just intuitively probe in a particular area for no reason, and bang, trigger a release. And releasing these things, of course, is extremely healthy for you and your life. Any questions on that? No? Good. I like no questions. It means I've done my job well. Yeah. Oh dear. Somebody had a couple of questions handed to me this morning. My emergency glasses from the $5 store. They're amazing. Yeah, little magnifiers. I keep losing my other ones, but I only need them for reading, but these I never lose. The question here is, does an affirmation have to be in the form of a question? No, it doesn't. Phrasing an affirmation as a question is a way of getting around internal resistance here, particularly if you feel when you're making a statement. If I said, for example, I weigh 110 pounds, I weigh 110 pounds, you might find a big resistance coming up in here. Or if you're an anxious person, you might say, I am relaxed and happy and confident. And your stomach will say, it might even burble on you. It'll say, whoop, no, you're not. There's a reaction there because your internal programming strongly disagrees with what you are stating and affirming. Now, when you get this negative reaction come up inside of you, which you'll all feel at times if you play around with affirmations here, that's an indication of what's happening inside of you. If you look at this logically, I love this. I just thought of this. It's never occurred to me. This is why I keep doing these workshops. Wow. Yeah, what that shows you is when you're making a statement here, your subconscious mind is disagreeing with that because you're getting some reaction in the stomach area here. That also shows that the message you are stating verbally or mentally is getting through to your subconscious mind / higher self. But it's almost like this part of you, your subconscious mind, which is the closest part of your spiritual self to the physical body, this part is almost like an interpreter, and it passes on messages to your higher self. But this does show that the message, the verbal message, is getting through and affecting your body. So it's showing some evidence of the form of communication which we're working on with affirmations, which is communicating to your inner self. And understanding this, I'll keep hammering this forever. Not only to help you all understand, but also myself, because the more I look at this and the more I talk about it, the more little inspirational vignettes I get coming here, better ways of understanding it, better ways of explaining what's happening in this process. And I have a burning need in me ever since I was a little kid to know how things work. I've got to take them apart and understand them, and particularly in this, and the more I do it in this level of work, spiritually, metaphysically, by understanding the principles and really owning them, you can make things work better and also come up with better ways of doing it. Better ways than are commonly known, like the energy work, for example. Did I ever tell you how I discovered this energy work? Did I? I think I write about it in the book Energy Work here. I've written a lot of writing, and I forget sometimes. Yeah, I did. About 15 years ago, I was playing around with some energy work. That's right. I was just discovered the internet. This is about 15 years ago, and I was heavily involved in astral projection because I knew a lot about that, and I was on all the news groups and getting hundreds of emails a day and that. And I was approached by 2 or 3 independently blind people. People have been blind since birth. And it's interesting, it shows you a bit about the nature of the astral dimension and also the, you could say, the spiritual realms and that, and how beliefs and personal experience affect your experience there. Shows a bit of the fluid nature. The people who have been blind since birth, they were having occasional spontaneous astral projections, and they were having dreams, of course. But interesting enough, the people who have been blind since birth and have never seen, all of their dreams and astral projections were non-sighted. Now, people who had experienced sight in their life, even if only for a few months, and then became blind, they dreamed and had astral projections in full colour visually. But if the brain and the mind had no visual experience, the dreams and astral projections were non-sighted. Now, examining this closely and their perceptions and how they perceive things in these dreams, because you'd think to yourself, being blind, having a dream or an astral projection is going to be pretty boring. You'll hear things and that, but you'll kind of think you'd be staggering around the dark. But it's not like that at all. They actually have superior levels of perception to sighted people. And not only that, but they have a much greater stability in the projections and better dream and OBE recall. They explained it to me that they said in a dream or an astral projection, it was like, you know how a blind person will touch your face to see you, and they'll feel your face, and they can, by feeling you, they can pick up the picture of what your face is like and what you're like in their mind. And if you meet a blind person, they'll touch your face and they sort of get that image. It's a bit like your body awareness image we were working on yesterday. They get this image and they can see it in their mind's eye in a tactile way, non-visually. But they said it was just like they were touching every part of the room simultaneously. Every chair, every person, every wall, every ceiling, everything, all the time. And they perceived it as clearly as the imagery of their own living room, where they know where everything is and they can walk around and they put their hand exactly on the remote, whatever. They know exactly where everything is. And it was like that. And even when they travelled out in the open, they could see the horizon, the sun, everything. It was like they were touching everything. And and it was actually far more stable than sight and had a deeper level of perception. The only drawback with that was if they said they could see a painting on the wall and they could, perceive the framework and the texture of the paint and that, but they couldn't see the picture. But they could just feel the texture of the paint and things like that. But Anyway, I'm digressing, but that's interesting. I'll have to work on that idea of, because the better you can explain the interaction between yourself and your higher self and the subconscious mind. I relate the subconscious mind as a part of the higher self. The subconscious mind is a concept. It's not anything you can point your finger to. It's a level of mind, an abstract level of mind, which was identified, as I said, by Carl Jung, I think, and I think it was Jung, the subconscious mind. And of course, you've got the unconscious mind and your autonomous nervous system and all that. All these processes happening beneath the scene of your conscious mind, which you wouldn't want to know about. I mean, you don't want to know all about your heart beating and breathing and all the millions of processes inside your body that are going on simultaneously. And it's a similar thing with your subconscious mind. All of your life programming, your social programming, and all the things that you learned and that slide into the subconscious mind, but they affect us profoundly. And you can relate core images and things to that as well, because they exist beneath the surface of conscious memory, but they affect us. They affect our emotions, our attitudes and thoughts, and our reactions. As I said, like with Portia, because of these trauma memories, she couldn't have a a lasting relationship with a man, because there was this feeling once she became close to a man, this like icky feeling she had for that kind of relationship. And it was just, she never knew where it came from until she discovered that core image. And so you may experience at times doing the energy work, things of this nature. Whatever your history is coming up inside of you, lost memories, negative emotions and things. I mean, it can go back to childhood, things which were said to you. I mean, sometimes, I was talking to Frank last night, you can just say, like a parent can say one thing to you, one sentence, and can have a severe impact upon your life. An example of that, when my son Jesse was 8 years of age, we were living together, father and son. I'm a Mr. Mom. I've had 6 children and raised most of them myself. To various ex-wives. Yeah, anyway, he was 8 years old and he wasn't doing very well at school. Smart kid, but he wasn't paying attention, wasn't doing his homework, and he was failing. He was only 8. And I tried everything to get him to take it seriously. And one day, I was having a bit of a bad hair day, which for a bald man is crisis, I'll tell you. Anyway, and he was driving home from school, and I just talked to his teacher and that sort of thing, and who was a bit upset with him. And he said to me, because his older brother Ben was in university, he says, I think I might go into psychology like Ben when I go into university, Dad, or I might do this or I might do that. And I just sort of like, I said, I don't think you'll be going to university, Jess. He said, why not? I said, Jess, I don't think you've got what it takes. I don't think you're smart enough. I said, because you're failing at school and that. That's it. 2 or 3 sentences like that. And after I'd said them, as I was saying them, I realised what was coming out of me. Oh, God. It took me 12 years of serious work on my son to minimise the damage of those couple of sentences. As Frank pointed out last night, he says that may also have stimulated him to try harder, which is what negative reinforcement is supposed to do. You make someone feel bad about themselves, like they're going to go, oh, I'm going to try better now and harder. That's what negative reinforcement is supposed to do. Of course, it doesn't usually work. And there are much better ways. Positive reinforcement, of course, is much, much, much better. But yeah, we all do things like this. We all have a bad hair day or experience it with somebody and say things that we don't mean at the time. But sometimes when we say like things to people, that one sentence will slip straight into the subconscious mind. Bang. And you've got a major issue just being created by you. And we don't intend to do things like this. And the people who've done it to us never intended to do it to us either. Well, not usually. But it happens, and we try not to do that sort of thing, but when we do, we have to do some work to undo them. But also these things that happen to us can also form into core images like knots in the psyche, which can trouble us later on. Just little things like that. And they're not. Life is a bit of a minefield at times, and The other question here was about Edgar Cayce and his writings. Here, I've read his books a number of years ago. My mother was a great fan of Edgar Cayce, but I couldn't really do a good comparison here or talk on that with anything like authority here, so I'll have to pass on that one. I admire the man and his work, but I don't know enough about it to talk about it. Yes, sir. Oh, hang on. Microphone.
If you finished answering that first question, I didn't get the answer. You said an affirmation that a question can be a way of getting around resistance.
Right,
but,
yeah.
Do you have an example of that?
Yeah, the lady asked, is it necessary to phrase affirmations as, questions? And no, when an affirmation is phrased as a question, the term was coined a few years ago. It's called an affirmation. Affirmation. And there's a website, affirmations.com, that explains it. And a person found a very simple thing, that if you're doing an affirmation, which has to be classically present tense, active tense, in the now. When you say an affirmation, you wouldn't say my eyesight is improving, my eyesight is getting better. You say my eyesight is perfect, as if it already were so. And this has a better effect on your higher self subconscious processes to heal your body, because your body will try and be what the inner template is. So you work on perfecting the inner template, which is basically what you believe you are, which includes what age you are, what weight you are, your physical condition, every part of your body. And so if you have a particular problem, like with your eyesight, you would say, my eyesight is perfect, my eyes are clear and sharp, I see perfectly, my vision is perfect. And if you had like cataracts on your eyes, I would suggest, you wouldn't normally mention the word cataract. It's like giving up smoking. You never mention the word smoking. But in a case like a medical condition, like you've got a cataract or a tumor in the body, I would also make statements. I do my body is healthy, my lungs are clear and perfect. But if you've got like a tumor in your lungs, for example, you wouldn't want to mention that as a part of your lungs. But, I mean, in a classical affirmation sense, you wouldn't. But what I suggest and get good results with, that you also do some affirmations that focus your body awareness on that tumor and say, this tumor is dissolving, this tumor is dying, this tumor is removing itself from my body. I don't want this tumor. Another thing with affirmations, where you bend the rules a little bit on affirmations, is when you get a disturbing thought process occurring. You get thoughts coming into your mind that you don't want, and it may just be chit-chat, reminders and that. You're trying to meditate and clear your mind, and you make a statement which is like a command, and you say, I choose not to think about that. I choose to relax my mind. And I find that is very, very helpful. And also, if you get like negative type influences, if you go into a place that has a negative energy, negative influences and spirits, sometimes you'll find your mind, for no apparent reason, becomes polluted. You'll get really negative thoughts coming into your mind and springing up there. And they might be nasty or icky or something like that. But I found an effective way, rather than just suppressing and then pushing them out of your mind, is to make a very firm command. You could do it verbally or silently in your mind. Say, I choose not to think about that. I reject those thoughts. I choose not to think about them. And it gives a very clear message to your higher self, because some of the affirmation work is when you phrase things present tense active, you are trying to get a message across to how you want your body to be. But you can get the impression that you're talking to a machine here, like a robot that doesn't understand, that doesn't have any intelligence. And in some cases, to do with your physical body, and that is true. But there are higher aspects, thinking aspects of your higher self, the divine aspects, which are very intelligent, communicative, and understanding. And so making statements which may not be present tense active and contains negative things like, I choose not to think about that. You don't get the impression that you're always talking to a machine. Some of it is directed at, you could say, the machine level of your higher self, but some of it is directed at your more higher functioning. So use a little bit of common sense and discretion when you're using these things. Anything to do with the physical body, treat it as if that part of your physical body is already perfect. And but when you're dealing with other things, sometimes a firm command needs to be very, very descriptive rather than present tense active. And and that's very, very effective too. If you've ever had disturbing thoughts or worrying or anxious thoughts when you're trying to sleep and it keeps you awake, I mean, we all worry about our children and things like that, and it'll keep you awake night after night. And this is one good way of helping to diffuse those sorts of thoughts that come into your mind is to make statements that you choose not to think about them. You might say, I'll think about that tomorrow. I choose not to think about them now. And that is quite effective. Microphone.
What would you say would be an effective technique in applying this to other people in your life? Like if you have a child that tends to have a negative outlook, or a parent or a friend, and they're always, they'll start off and then they'll just go right into negativity, and you're trying to kind of balance that out. How would you recommend doing that?
You've met my ex-wife, haven't you? And her family, yeah? Okay, that's difficult. Everything else aside, using this approach here, apart from, you'll try and get them to think more positively and get them to do affirmations and that to be more positive. That can be hard going, getting it through to a lot of people because, I can't see how that works. That's all hooey, Doing the affirmations for them yourself is a very powerful form of healing. Now, as you can perform miracles on yourself and on your life by doing the affirmations, this also applies to healing. Keeping in mind what your higher self is. And your higher self, up the gradient, connects to everybody else. I'm taking on over the last year or so, a very Ho'oponopono approach. And when I give healing to somebody, I connect with them and I reach down inside of myself to see what part of me is sick that needs healing, which is them. It's the nearest I can describe it. It's a way of connecting because when you're giving healing to somebody, this is a part of yourself. And that realization, you have to know it to live that realization. It greatly improves your connection to that person, which as a healer, you need to be very deeply connected to your patient. And you can't like shield from them or anything. You have to kind of open up. And this is why healers have to develop strength, because when you're dealing with a lot of patients and that, of course, you get a lot of people coming in with negative type problems and that one. They'll tend to contaminate your energy and that. So you've got to be pretty robust in that sense. But yeah, helping other people in a case, let's say, for example, you have a depressed or overly anxious teenager or something, or partner or something like that. Say the affirmations for them. And you would say, my partner, John, you say, John is relaxed and happy. John is, very, very positive statements. How you would like them to be, how they should be, how they want to be. You make the affirmations present tense active as if they already were. Now, keeping in mind that affirmations like this operate very, very directly with the fundamental principles of all magical systems, whether it's witchcraft, ritual magic, whatever. It all operates on the same principles. It gets a message across to the higher self, divine forces in life. It galvanizes forces in the universe to make changes. And if you, regardless, doing affirmations for another person, you connect with them, you would imagine that person, visualize them, their face in front of you, something about them, you connect to them, and then you would say the affirmations for them. John is relaxed and happy. John is laid back, happy, relaxed, and content. For whatever it is necessary, phrase the affirmations, positive, active tense. Also, don't be afraid of making an occasional command or direction here. If you can't phrase it in a very positive, active way, just make a direct command. And I find a direct command, you can also call it a statement, or there's another word for it, like a decree, when you're working with your higher self / source, you don't have to say a lot of please and thank you and a lot of begging and groveling and this sort of thing. I find that the the nice, flowery, polite stuff, oh, please help this person, that tends to get in the way. You're adding extra words and that to a very clear communication, and it's not necessary. It is necessary afterwards to express gratitude when you see some results. So if you're working for somebody who's very negative and depressed, and then after doing the affirmations for a while, you start to see some results in them. They come home and they're in a happy mood and relaxed. Then you do some like affirmation statements. You say, thank you. John is relaxed and happy. I love it when John is relaxed and happy. Thank you. And that is an important connection as well, because you're affirming the results of the operation that you started. And this is very powerful stuff. It absolutely works 100% of the time. As I say, there is a formula depending upon the strength of the condition you're working on. The amount of time of the silent and verbal affirmations and actions you put into that will vary, and with the variables being, of course, your negative resistance and their negative resistance. But if you're working on somebody else that may have tremendous negative resistance if they tried to do affirmations, doing affirmations for them is a neat way of getting around their personal. It's like you're bypassing them going to a higher authority, and so that the results will come, more directly. The times, as a lot of you are healers here, I'm sure you'll understand, times where this won't work is where there is something at work in a person's life plan here. Now, if there is some important process occurring, call it a karmic life process occurring in a person's life, and they have lessons they need to learn, which may require them to suffer or to cause suffering or to go on a particular path in life, you'll find you can't heal a person like that. I find you can always help them. You can always ease the burden a bit, but sometimes you can't heal them. It's like when you connect with somebody in healing, I will often, I get say a dozen cases coming in with the same condition, and I will find 9 of them will respond fine. 3 of them won't respond at all. A little bit less pain, a little bit more positivity. They'll improve a little bit, feel a bit better, but you can't touch it. Over the years, I've learned to identify this. When I meet a person like that and I go to attune with them to give them healing, I get this. It's almost like it's no words, but there's like a silent impression comes into me, and this hand touches my shoulder, and there's a voice that says, not this one. I'm sure some of you healers have experienced that. You get this feeling of, no, leave this one to me, which means there's something else going on you're not aware of.
Do you ever, you've talked about magic, do you ever incorporate any type of rituals in your affirmations? Do you think that adds or detracts to what you're trying to do, or it's just there to be nice?
I do
nicety.
Occasionally. I do use some ritual magic. I have studied Hermetics, and but in healing and affirmations, very, very basically, I would, I will sometimes call upon the light of Adonai, which is one of the God names, to surround a person with light for protection and for upliftment and healing. I may do a ritual banishment as a part of an affirmation, distance work with somebody. I'm giving them healing. I'm sending energy to them. I'm also working specifically with body awareness on them. I'm doing affirmations on their body, whatever the condition is. And if they have a negative entity type problem, or if they're under a form of psychic attack or something, or influence, I may do a banishment on that person's space. And the most effective way I've found of doing that is the traditional banishment pentagram, which is absolutely rocks. Yeah. I've never encountered, and I've come across more than my share of negative entities and demons in my life, and I've never yet come across a serious entity that didn't run from that. They have to. And if you understand how it works, it's like the heart center, the double triangle in the heart center, which you will see if you observe the heart center clairvoyantly. You'll see this magical, 12-flowered petal and this double triangle and this little deity and this smoky color, and even some Sanskrit symbols there in the aura That's what you're picking up. But if you look at how that is, I'm looking at energy, and that energy in my mind's eye is like the archetype of that is being translated as this symbol and this symbology here. But when you do a symbol, for example, a ritual banishment, which you start from the left hip, like this, that formulation and visualizing it with the mind, with that intention, generates a particular energy, which is an aspect of your higher self, which is particularly focused on banishing negative entities. And so it's very, very powerful, and it works like instantly if you do it right. It's not difficult to do, you know. You just got to... Sorry? Is it in your book? It's in my book, Practical Psychic Self-Defense, at the back. There's a cut-down version of the banishment ritual. But for the actual banishment, you just need to do the banishment pentagram and then banish in the name, using the God names, the primary Hebrew God names. I don't know why they have to be in Hebrew, but they work better. The symbol, the intention, the names, the way it's done. Say, the reverse of seeing an energy and seeing the symbols coming from that energy, you create the symbol with the intention and you generate that energy. The reverse applies. Does that make sense? You're connecting to an area of source that banishes negative type beings. And it's very, very effective. It's, Well, it's a bit like, I suppose you can say, it's like picking up a can of insecticide and spraying something, an insect. It's like, it's sort of like that. Well, in the case of a banishment thing, it's more like a repellent. It doesn't like kill it or destroy it. It gets rid of it for now. It's there's obviously a lot more to it than that. But I highly recommend my book, Practical Psychic Self-Defense, even if you only read it and just pick up the bare bones basics. My approach to this sort of thing, apart from that, which the banishment thing, which I do because it works. And this is the thing about my work in that area. I only do what works. If it doesn't work, I'm not interested. I'll try it out, and if it doesn't work, I'll shelve it or discard it and try something else. Now, things I found that do work are not rituals and meditations and things like that. There are practical things involved. All negative entities have weaknesses. Now, for all intents and purposes, all negative entities are bound to the surface of the earth. They have an electromagnetic property to them, and they cannot cross running water. You would think they could just fly around like anything, but they can't. Bound to the surface of the earth, and they cannot cross running water. I've proven this over and over and over again. So my countermeasures consist of the use of running water, showers, visualizations under the shower, the use of salt water. The salt water, when you add salt to water, the chemical reaction that occurs generates quite a powerful electromagnetic field. There's an electrical reaction there. That's how it works. And also grounding as well. Simply plugging a power extension lead into a grounded power outlet and putting that around your bed and bunching it up underneath the bed can completely stop most types of negative type attacks on you. And in really serious cases, using grounded material and little crocodile clips and wiring it up to a tap or a water fitting, and in really serious cases, make up a miniature Faraday cage over the bed, and you totally shield the person. Electromagnetic shielding. This is not anything weird, and I only do this because it absolutely works. Another thing I'm working on, a recent discovery you won't find in my book, is the use of light. Now, these things, particularly when you get certain types of implants and attachments inside your physical body, that they often have an ectoplasmic nature. Now, ectoplasm is a semi-solid substance, which you say is something between solid and physical and spiritual energy. And something made of that is very sensitive to white light. It's destroyed by white light. It can exist under coloured light if you're familiar with materialisation mediumship and that. There's been a lot of work done on that over the last 100 years. But I've found that when you have these attachments and that inside of your body, it actually move around under the skin on some people. And you see it moving under the skin. Because it's only semi-solid, it can move through the body. But sunbathing Go out in the sun for half an hour a day and sunbathe. The light penetrates your skin. If you put a torch, a flashlight, underneath your hand, you'll see the light coming through the flash in a pinky sort of a glow. And that light is penetrating your flesh. So a powerful light like sunlight will penetrate your flesh, and if you do that regularly, will burn away any negative attachments inside of you. And also, on top of that, I've also, because you may not have any sun available, it's too cold, a grow light of the type that they use for growing plants, a powerful light, which doesn't have the spectrum in there that causes burning in the skin. That is very effective. Spend half an hour a day under a grow light and you burn away a lot of negative problems. And as you can see, I have a very practical approach to this, which is very non-scary. I try and downplay the whole scary sort of thing because it's not nice to talk about, and I'd rather not. But someone has to deal with this because people come to you with these problems, and what do you do? As a healer, this is another form of healing, because if people have these sort of problems and you're healing and that is not going to work, what do? You send them away, say you're mad. That's what everybody else does. But these people are suffering. I can't turn them away. So I try and help them. And over the years, I've found things that actually work. So anyway, sorry, got one question over the back there.
I was just wondering, what do you do to keep the entities away? Like if you feel like you have negative entities and you need help with that, and then how do you keep that away? Or if you're under psychic attack?
Affirmations. My methods here can be thought of as first aid. I mean, when something bad happens to you, you may have never thought about doing anything, affirmations to shore up your defenses and that before. And when you come under any negative attack like that, it happens very, very quickly usually. You go into the wrong place, you might go on a haunted tour of some place, which they do, which I think is insanity. I've had people come to me regularly after going on a tour, and then things start happening and they're in trouble. Now, it happens very, very quickly, and it's so destabilizing when it does happen. You can't concentrate, you can't meditate, you can't do anything. It's like having an instant anxiety disorder. You can't settle. So you need something really practical. So go home, have a really long shower, do this visualization. And if you look at people who have depressive anxiety disorders, panic attacks and things, when a person has a serious psychotic episode, you will often find a person like that will intuitively, without thinking about it, go in the shower, and they'll spend hours under the shower. And you'll find they do that, and I've talked to people like this, I said, why do you do that? They said, I just feel better there. I feel okay under the shower. But when I get out of the shower, half an hour later, it all comes back. So I get back under the shower again. Now, this is intuitively using a powerful countermeasure. They're being guided to this, because it's a strong grounding, protective. There's a lot of electromagnetic activity in water, and it's heavily grounded all the way back to the local water supply and dam. So, yeah, it's a powerful defense. And as I say, these things have weaknesses. Electromagnetic properties can be grounded. So you can ground them, which causes them to demanifest. So, these things work under any circumstances, The most powerful attack you can imagine, arch-demonic attack, whatever you want to call it, this will stop it cold. And I've been doing this for many, many years, and it works. So keep that in mind. That's all you really need to know. The very basic countermeasures like showers and running water and things like that, and grounding, that's all you need to know. Because if anything bad happens to you or to somebody you know, it may never happen to you, but if you know somebody, a friend you see something happen to, you think, well, let's try some running water. Can't hurt, Like children often come down with mystery maladies in the middle of the night. 2 o'clock in the morning, you rush them to hospital, you get halfway there and the child's fine. Now, 10 minutes earlier, they had a life-threatening fever and were moaning, and you're carrying around, think they're going to die. And 10 minutes later, the child's fine on the way to hospital. And doctors, if you ask them, they get a string of children being brought in during the night, and there's nothing wrong with the children. But they were seriously ill. And what's happened there is you put them in the car, drive down the road, and you're crossing hundreds of water mains, which crisscross our society, surrounds every city block. There's water mains everywhere. And on that sense here, modern plumbing causes an accumulation of negative type entities to build up in our towns, particularly old buildings and that, because they're surrounded by running water, and the spirits and that people that die in them, they're earthbound spirits, these things can't get out, so they tend to accumulate, and problems accumulate. You get sick old buildings. Anyway, that's enough on that. Question, did I?
I just wanted to make a comment.
Okay.
One of the. Well, she had a question.
Okay. Hold that. It's okay, stay there. I'll repeat this one.
It just, your previous thing, light therapy is used to treat seasonal affective disorder very commonly.
Yeah.
And so it's a known thing. You put people under lights, and they
Yep.
get happier.
Yeah, now trying to explain that physiologically, my son works in that area as well, in psychology, and he's found some of the most effective things for treating depression and anxiety disorders here is get a person out in the morning sunlight. Go out in the morning sun for half an hour and have your cup of tea. Eat chocolate, good quality chocolate, and chili. Chocolate and chili are both antidepressants. Natural antidepressants and that. So, and those few things alone, half an hour in the sun, eat some chocolate and chili, and they come back a week later, and he's just been chatting to them. They feel a hell of a lot better just by doing some very simple things. Light is incredibly important, particularly if you live in an area that doesn't get a lot of light. So, yes?
It is. I just wanted to add to what you just said about children. That would happen with my daughter all the time. She was like me. She was born with abilities. And she would wake up in the middle of the night, have a high fever, crying, screaming, just terrified. And we'd get her in the bath and she'd be fine.
Yeah.
Or we'd get her out of the environment and she'd be fine. But she would be what we thought was just incredibly ill hours before. And it would happen all the time. So I just wanted to add to what you just said. I was like, wow, I had never known what that was about.
This is an important thing. A lot of my work in this area I've done with children because I found many years ago I switched my attention to working with children because adults are just too difficult to work with. I mean, very difficult. You can't get them to do anything usually, but children, you can apply things. I'll give you an example. Little lass, how these methods work, which applies to what you're talking about there. And yes, the children that are affected by that usually have abilities. They're usually gifted. No, you didn't. Instinctive. Intuition. And isn't it lovely? You're being guided. But now once you know what you're doing here, you think about the grounding. I've got a little lass I've been helping, Lorraine, for the last few years since she was about 3. She's 7 years old now. And her parents are very compliant. She had these horrific problems and screaming every night, couldn't sleep alone. And we've tried everything. I mean, her bedroom is like a shrine. They got special speakers up playing the right kind of hemi-sync all the time, yellow walls, scrubbed, statue of the Buddha, multiple water features and that around the room. And when she goes to beg the drill, she gets this special little robe she puts on, covered in sacred symbols, socks with salt in them, little packs of salt. That's very protective too. And she goes to bed. And all of this stuff helps. It's helped a bit here and that. And then when I discovered the grounding thing, I said, right, here's what we've got to do. Get some grounding material for a bed sheet and a pillow, a little crocodile clip, clip it onto some plumbing. Or plug it into the power outlet there. And because even with all the countermeasures we had in place and everything we were doing, it was, instead of happening every night, it was happening once a month, once every couple of weeks. She'd still have a problem and have to go running into mum's room. And anyway, a couple of days after we put the sheets in, and the mother decided, oh, well, if I'm going to get sheets, I may as well get nice ones. $700 worth of silk sheets later and another one for a covering, all carefully clipped onto the water pipes and that. A couple of days later, little Lorraine came out in the morning for breakfast, bouncing away. She said, Mummy, guess what? She said, what, dear? She said, the monsters came back last night and they walked through the wall just like they always do. I'm going to get you, little girl. And they come up to the bed and I started to cry and they got sucked into the silver sheets and never came back. I'm going, yes! It's one for the good guys. Oh, mate, yeah, I really mean it. But, things like that, they're really, really important and nobody's dealing with it. Everybody goes into denial. It's no, not my daughter, not my children. I've got angels sitting around my children, protecting them and that and all this sort of thing. And even though you can see there's serious problems going on, they won't do anything practical about it. And there's nothing in what I teach to do in this sort of thing which would offend anybody's beliefs in any way. These are very practical things. We're dealing with something energetic that we don't really understand. You know, I know 1% about this sort of thing, but I have identified a few things that actually work, and they work consistently. Sorry?
How can you tell the difference between someone that's having an attack and someone that's just mentally ill?
The difference between mentally ill and coming under attack, they usually go hand in hand. If you get a person that's suffering a serious attack, they would be diagnosed with a mental disorder. Now, if you get a person with a mental disorder, if I look at them, I would diagnose their condition as having some component of negative energy influence or attachment on them. They usually go hand in hand. And the way to differentiate between this here is to apply the basic countermeasures and see if they have an effect. Some of these things, if you have mental illness in a person, and it could be an anxiety, depressive type disorder, is, get under a shower and do this. I do a visualization which adds to the shower's effect, and simply imagine as strongly as you can brilliant white fluid pouring down and filling your crown center and your body and your head, holding the body image of this, filling you with brilliant light. And as it gets down to your legs here, filling you with light, you imagine this discoloured fluid pumping out of your legs and going down the drain. And you continue that and pushing it down through you like you're squeezing a toothpaste tube out under the shower. Now, if you do that for, keep it up for 5 or 10 minutes sort of thing, if it doesn't have an effect on you at all, then it may not be negative entity type related. But people who have mental problems there, when they get under the running water and that, they usually feel a lot better. So you have to sort of experiment with them. The countermeasures I teach are harmless. I mean, put some grounding up. Sometimes I've had people who've set up a bed grounding, sleeping earth type setup, and you can buy products on this. There's a website called sleepingearth.com, which sells products on this, the conductive materials and things that you can use. Sometimes it seems to take a length of time sleeping in contact with the earth for several weeks to drain the negative energy out of you. And this is understandable. We are meant to be in contact with the earth all the time. We're meant to sleep on the earth. You could say, naturally speaking, in a wild state, we would sleep in contact with the earth, grounded. Now, it's scientifically known that when we are connected to the earth, there is a flow of electrons between us and the planet that occurs, an exchange of electrons here, which is particularly strong during sleep. Now, in our modern society, we wear insulated footwear, walk on insulated carpets and cars and that, and most of our life is spent insulated. We get into bed, which is also insulated from the planet. And so we restrict that flow of exchange of electrons with the planet, which has a very normalizing feature. Now, this flow of electrons here is electromagnetism we're talking about here. So the result is you get a buildup of an electromagnetic static of certain frequencies in the physical body. And it's known that the sleeping earth thing will help a lot of conditions. You'll sleep better, be less anxious, and that helps with a wide range of conditions. And I think this also removes a lot of the soil in which negative type energies and entities can exist by normalizing the electromagnetic fields in our body. Now, it's not enough to just earth yourself. If you have static electromagnetic fields enmeshed within your cells, now, if you come under some kind of an attack, it's on the outside of your skin and in your outer aura field. Now, that can be grounded, cross-running water, get under a shower, it'll stop it cold. But if it's like infiltrated your physical body, it's like you get an acrylic fluffy rug, a really fluffy sort of rug that gets really staticky. It's made of synthetic material. And on a dry day particularly, you pick it up and it gets crackle, that sort of material. Now, if you take one of those crackly rugs like that, there's crackling, and it's obviously got a big charge in it because your hair's standing on end and this sort of thing. You take it to a tap or a water feature and you touch the blanket to the cold tap, which is heavily earthed. You'll find, move it around a bit, it's still crackling. It doesn't automatically go zap down in the grounding. Now, if you've got an excess on your skin, you earth yourself, you'll get a little zap there as it comes off your skin. But when it gets enmeshed in the cells of your body, like in the staticky rug, the electromagnetism gets enmeshed in billions of little fibers and cells of the rug, and it doesn't come out easily, not in a linear fashion like electrical current. You would have to spray it with a mist of water and lay it on a damp grass for several hours to leach those electromagnetic fields out of that rug. And it's the same with the physical body. Grounding yourself while you sleep causes a normalization of your electromagnetic fields, which seems to remove the soil within which some of these electromagnetic forces and beings interact with us. So I've only just started over the last several months working with electromagnetic sleeping, earthed, and this form of long-term grounding and that, but I'm getting really, really good results with it. And this is a really big breakthrough, like grow lights and that for people with these problems is, hugely beneficial. And anyway, that's about enough of that. I tend to digress on that one a little bit. I could talk for a week on it. It's not a pleasant subject, but it's absolutely fascinating when you look at how these things work. It's something new, something people have never really looked into, the electromagnetic properties of these sort of things and how they work. If you get rid of all the beliefs and the religious stuff and what people think about this and just look at it for what it is, you have some kind of bugs, wildlife that we don't know about, that we can't touch and see, which interact with us and we don't know about it. It's too scary to think about, so we stick our heads in the sand and pretend it's not happening. But we have children, and sometimes our children and people suffer from these things, and because of the previous statements, nobody knows what to do about them because nobody's done the work here. So I did the work because originally it was a matter of my own survival. But over the years after I did that, I found people coming out of the woodworks, knocking on my door, complete strangers. They said, "Excuse me, mister, I've heard from a friend of a friend who knows the people across the road that you know something about this sort of thing, and would you please come and help us? My children are really, really scared." And people just come out of the woodworks because nobody knows anything about this. And anyway, that's enough on that. How are we going for time? Oh, good, we've half an hour left. Right, I'm just going to grab a cup of coffee, excuse me. Ease my throat. Oh, it was thunder. Brown. There we go. It's better than juice. Oh, that's right, you can still hear me. I make myself quite at home up here. Yeah, that wasn't part of the, supposed to be a part of the workshop, but it does come under the term of energy work and self-healing in that, because, just knowing the basics of this thing, it's like taking a short course in first aid, learning how to put a compression bandage on or something like that. It's like, it's there if you know it, A lot of people have said about my book, you should put it under glass with a big red sign saying, "In case of psychic attack, break glass," Otherwise, people said, "I can't read this. It's just too scary to even open the cover." It's like, I don't get it, but I suppose I do. Yeah. Right, back to energy work. We're doing here. Somebody asked me today the best way to treat a neck or a spinal problem. So I'll go through that again with you. The best action to use is apart from the bouncing an energy ball up and down through the neck. and localizing your awareness there. Now do this while I'm talking about it. You don't need any preparation. Just feel where your neck is and just move a ball of energy up and down through your neck to about there and feel it moving up and down. You can do this while you're driving. It only takes a small part of your concentration to move energy through your body. You don't need to be in an altered state for it to work. Move it up and down, and while you're moving up and down through your neck, localizing your energy in that area specifically, you make a silent or verbal affirmation here, and you say, my neck is perfect, my neck is straight and healthy, my neck is strong and healthy. The vertebrae in my neck are strong and healthy. The discs in my neck are fat and healthy. My neck is strong and healthy. My neck is straight and perfect. And just go on like that for a few minutes. If you've got a neck problem, go on a lot longer. The more you do that, the more effect you'll have on it. And for more specific energy work in the neck, you, it's my pen. Oh. If you look at this as being a head, oh, I do think my artwork's getting better. It is. Thank you. Yeah. You also would use a wrapping action around your neck as well, like you're wrapping a bandage around it like we did on the forehead. All these techniques and that are in the book with beautiful illustrations there. And but particularly effective one at working on the spine is a slicing action. Imagine you've got a disc the size of a coaster and feel that action on your neck as if you were slicing backward and forwards through the neck. Now, raising it a millimeter each time, and you carefully and thoroughly work your way up through the neck, feeling the energy slicing through, and imagining a disc. You can use colors as well. Colors will change the property of the energy you are using. And we'll start with a blue color, like a nice electric blue or electric violet or something like that, whatever you can do. But slice the disc through the neck, feeling it going backwards and forwards, side to side through the neck, and moving it a little bit up each time. And work your way up and down through the neck and back down there. And while you were doing that, try and imagine with your body awareness the vertebrae in your neck as being perfectly formed, the nice fat discs in between it. So if you look at how a neck is formed, you've got these like vertebrae here, and you've got like a disc in between them. You've got the bones here. That's a bone. And the spinal cord, of course, runs down the middle. But have a look at an anatomy book, get a feeling for what your neck looks like on the inside, you know, a bit of knowledge so you can imagine it more strongly, and feel that moving up and down. And when you're saying my discs are, and the disc is like a little bag of jelly, which keeps the vertebrae apart and keeps the nerves from being impinged upon, which have probably can cause more pain in your body than any other part of your body, a neck injury. It's like absolutely unbelievable, the pain that can cause. And just work your way. Work your way with the disc up and down and then front to back, sideways, being as far as you can to focus your attention in there and your energy while you're making the affirmations. That, you know, my neck is straight and healthy, my neck is strong and healthy. I mean, I would be dead without this. I mean, this was really, my neck is marvelous. The magnetic necklace helps too. You know, that's another thing that really, really helps, magnets. If you have any injuries on your body, get some good rare earth magnets. Necklaces, bracelets, they've got them for any part of your body. Go to promagnet.com. It's an American company. You can get magnetic wraps and things for every part of your body, every finger and toe, whole body wraps. They are marvelous if you never use them. Particularly if you've got a neck problem, a magnetic necklace would help enormously. We were talking about this earlier. Yeah. And they're not expensive, you know, it's probably $20. I mean, yes.
Would you talk a little bit about colors? I notice in your book that most of the energy balls you refer to, and in this example, they're blue balls of energy. Would you talk a little bit about colors and moving energy?
Okay, Now, I'm no expert on colour healing or colour therapy. You have to draw a line somewhere in your work. I only give very basic uses of colour in there. I did attempt to write a little chapter on that, and I thought, well, I don't know enough about it. This is not authentic, so I've got to throw it out. I just can't do it. So, and I don't have time to read a dozen books on it and experiment with it. So, at the moment, and I use a basic blue colour is a nice safe colour, a nice electric or pastel blue, depending on what you're capable of visualising or imagining. Some people have problems visualising certain colours or imagining them. For example, if you're trying to imagine a high colour like electric violet, which is a very, very cleansing colour, great for spiritual cleansing. It's also a great colour for self-defense as well, for cleansing negative energies in your room. I will use that to like burn my body, my bed, the entire room, the walls and the space in between with electric violet. The slightest little problem I get around, hear a couple of knocks on the walls, a bit of a funny atmosphere, I'll burn the whole apartment, and it makes a big difference as a preventative measure. Whatever the negative influences are, often they come from people. You know, you upset somebody and they're brooding on you, and just their brooding on you, it's like negative distance healing. It's like the reverse applies. All the methods we teach here and healing methods and that have a negative side to them. Everything that you do to help people can be used to harm people, you know, in the uses of energy and intention and affirmations and that, you know, it all has a flip side. So if someone is brooding about you and could be causing you physical problems and stresses, and up to and including negative phenomena occurring around you. So these sort of things, the affirmations, the visualizations of colour and that are a big help to get rid of those. But yeah, I'm no expert on colour, so I can't really answer your questions there. I use blue is great, the white is a good colour, and next to that I use violet, or if you can't manage electric violet, come down a bit to magenta or purple. That higher spectrum of colours there is equally effective for that sort of thing, and it's great for any sort of spiritual problems. But this method here with the slicing and that, of course, continue that down for your entire spine. I mean, all the way down to your coccyx if you've got lower back problems and that, spending a bit more time on the areas of your back that are actually hurting, and, you know, side to side and backward and forwards, and do a wrapping action around the spine. Not around the stomach, but go inside the body to where your spine is and use a wrapping action and localizing a bounce action and any other actions you can think of. And using the tools like using the blowtorch we were talking about yesterday, and the color of the flame is important as well. You can change that and experiment with the color. You could use a nice cool blue or a really hot fiery red and orange color and to burn stuff away. And also using that, you would use that for burning away if you have damaged tissue in the discs and scar tissue. You would see that, imagine that falling away, and then you would use a spray gun and fill it full of water and gushing water through your spine, washing all the bits away, cooling the inflammation down, and you state the intention there, cooling the inflammation down, reducing the swelling, and all of this with the words and the affirmation combined to focus all of your body's healing in the area you're working on. And if you put the hours in, you will get miracle results. It always works. You can put the hours in. It's absolutely amazing. Yes, sir. Microphone.
All the visualizations make sense to me. The one I'm not getting a sense of is the slicing through millimeter by millimeter. Mm-hmm. Are you intending like slicing away any obstacles or anything that's wrong? What are we?
Okay, thank you. I'll elaborate on that. No, the intention of moving the slicing action, a disc of energy which you can form your energy hands. When you're moving or bouncing energy through your body, brushing your hands or your feet, you could say you're using your body awareness hands, which are not your physical hands. You know, you can move them up, move them inside another person and inside of yourself, independent of your physical hands. But you shape the business end of your body awareness into, let's say in this case, a disc and not a ball. And you're just moving the energy through here and focusing all of your attention on imagining as intensely as you can that disc and feeling it moving through your body. Feeling it is more important than imagining it. You may not be able to imagine it very well, but you can feel it in a tactile sense slicing through your body. Feel something flat slicing through your body. A lot of people have problems with imagination and putting it together with tactile imaging. So focus mostly on the feeling. And this is the intention here, is to get your awareness hands in there to disturb the physical body in that sense here, to like loosen up the energy body in that area, loosen up any knots and help restore the flow of energy. The affirmations and intentions I add to that. Now, you could actually create a tool, as we do with some of the other tools in there. When you first use an energy tool like the flaming torch, the golden torch in there, the blowtorch we're using here, is you first start by imagining that, you're holding it in your awareness hand, and you imagine the bulb and the flame coming out, and it's all golden, and you would say in your mind, this is my golden torch. You make the statement, my golden torch burns away disease. My golden torch burns away damaged areas of the body. And you program this with intentions. So you could, good idea, you could use the same with a disc. If you have a disc of energy, this is my golden disc. This disc, frees up energy. It removes obstacles. It removes diseased tissue. And program that and then use it. Just add the intention to it, then start using it. Then you don't have to focus on that again. But that applies to all tools. Yeah, I wish I'd thought about that when I wrote the book for the other simpler actions, actually programming them. Because we program all of the tools we use. There's a big golden net you use, which can be very small for working on fingers or whole body, which you scoop up through a fine sieve golden net, or a sieve, like a disc with a big sieve, okay, and use that to cleanse your body of negative energies and disease and stuff like that. We're going to take a short break now. I just got tea signs, so hold that thought.